Hi Diane, hi Marina. Can you all hear me okay? Is the audio fine and everything else? I'll give it another few minutes. Hi Susan, hi Ella, Lambeth Spirit, hiya. If you can hear me, okay, just say yes or something like that, just so that I know you can hear me. All right, excellent. That's brilliant. Okie dokie. I'll get started in a second. I'll just wait for a few more people to pop in. Hi Paulo. Hi Judy. Hope you are all doing well. So just while we're waiting for like everybody to get in and what have you, the reason I wanted to do this, I suppose I better talk into this. I know it's a little bit, the light is a little bit blown out, but I'll take this this image of me off the screen in a second. But the reason that I wanted to do this particular topic for the live stream was because I'm sure you have all heard of this stuff. Hi Susan, I'm not too sure if this is going to be my preferred time. I'm still playing about with the time. So the first one that I done was 11, like it was around about 11 a.m. UK time. And then I did one at 3 o'clock. And now I've done this one at 6 o'clock UK time. So I'm just playing about, seeing what suits everybody better. So I'm just playing about really. It could be that once I find the time that suits everybody, I will just stick to that time and that'll be it. It'll be the regular slot then for these live streams. But the reason why I wanted to do this is because this company reached out to me quite a while ago. They do this. This like it's called liquid white colored pencil. I'm sure a lot of you have seen other artists use it, and it's a fantastic product. And what I wanted to do was I did a video a while ago where I showed you all the different white colored pencils that you can use and things like that, and which one was the widest, or which one was the most opaque, which one was the most kind of like translucent. But this time I wanted to do it slightly different, because most people, when they're doing these, the company that makes this, Paulo, is called Pearl Burnish from San Francisco. I'll have a link for. I'll if I remember, I'll put a link in. But I'm actually going to do in like a separate review of this product later on. But I wanted to do this live stream as well, because I think it's difficult to do for this particular product. It's different. It's difficult to do a review of this just on its own, without comparing it to something else. So that's kind of what this is. But like I say, the most people, when they're doing these reviews of like what's the widest and all the rest of it, they do them on the tone tan or the mixed grey or like black paper. Obviously I've got a black paper here to do it as well. But the thing is, as coloured pencil artists, you will know it's very different. It's a very different story. Trying to create, like, get a highlight on a black piece of paper is dead easy. But when you're trying to get a highlight on layers of coloured pencil, especially Susan, I've actually got the brush and pencil here, so I'm going to be testing that tonight with all of this. I'm going to be testing lots of different products and show you all the different things. But I've also done these layers, okay? So one is, these two here are heavy layers of Caran d'Ache luminance. The yellow here is the Koh-i-Noor brand, again heavy layer, and this one here is the Larry Rembrandt brand, because as I was saying, it's very easy to get a highlight on a dark paper or like the tone tan paper or something like that. But as coloured pencil artists, we need to create these highlights on coloured pencil. And a lot of the time, for me anyway, when I've used some of the other products that have been put out there for to create highlights, especially when I'm trying to create a highlight on layers of red, the highlight turns pink. It'll pick up a little bit of the pigment and it'll turn pink. And so that's what I want to test here tonight. I want to go through these products, and what I've got here is, I'll just read off this black paper here. So I've got some Winsor & Newton white gouache, because another thing that you've got to also take into consideration when you're doing your highlights is, if you are using Caran d'Ache luminance, or you're using highly light fast pencils, and you're using it on very archival paper, expensive paper, the last thing you want to do is create highlights with something that's non-archival, because all that work that you're doing, especially if you've got a lot of highlights in the work, will, after time, the highlights that you've created will turn yellow, and it'll look silly, it'll look wrong. So it's important that when you're creating these highlights, that there is a little bit of, light fastness or archivalness to it. So what I've got here is Winsor & Newton white gouache. I've got some white Posca pens. Now, the stuff that's in the Posca pens is all the same, okay? But I've got 3 different ones here that I want to show you, because there's a Posca pen here that has a brush tip to it, which is quite good as well. I've got a white gel pen. Then I've got the brush and pencil stuff from Aliona Nicholson, which is the powder, and then you mix it up with this this liquid here, turn it into a paste, and you create your highlights with that. I've also got some Winsor & Newton white ink. It's just a little bottle of white ink, and you can apply this using a dip pen, which I've lost my dip pen. I was going to use that tonight, but I've lost it, can't find it. Or you can just use it with a brush. So that's one option. I've also then got this liquid white coloured pencil, and then I've got some different white coloured pencils. I've got one here called the Stabilo All, which I'll explain what that is later on, because it's not an ordinary coloured pencil. Then I've got the Derwent Inktense, FaberCastell Albrecht Dürer, Caran d'Ache Super Colour Soft. So they are white watercolour pens, but I'll show those in a different way. And then I've got some other white pencils down here, just like the Holbein white, Caran d'Ache Luminance white, the Derwent Chinese white, which a lot of people think or prefer that. They think it's the more opaque of all the different colour pencils. And I'm also going to be using, if I can find it, for creating the highlights, my little slice knife thing, and using pencils to create those highlights. So we'll get on with the test, because this is going to take a while, I think. And I'll just periodically look up and have a look and see if there's any questions. Hi, Ryo. Raoul, do you follow me on, if you follow me on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, I always put it up on those with the link, and then if you click onto the link, it'll take you to the video. But I know sometimes YouTube just do that. I mean, like, there's lots of times when I've tried to, join in on a live stream and I don't get the things as well. Yeah, I've got some Polychromos pencils here as well. I've got a white FaberCastell Polychromos, a Prismacolor, a Caran d'Ache Pablo, Koh-i-Noor white, the Derwent Lightfast white, and I've got Lara Rembrandt white, and then I've got a cheap white colored pencil just to show you the difference as well, just from the color range. Okay, so first things first, let me move this video of me. And then I'll have the table to get on with this. I've got my little Caran d'Ache palette because I'm going to show you what watercolor pencils actually activated look like as highlights, because a lot of people ask me, can you use watercolor pencils as highlights as well? No, the Polychromos is there. Where's my Polychromos? Here's my FaberCastell white Polychromos pencil. So that's there. I think I've got all the main coloured pencils, like the Holbein, the Luminance, a couple of Derwent ones like the Chinese white, the Lightfast, Prismacolor, FaberCastell Polychromos, the Caran d'Ache Pablo, Koh-i-Noor, and the Lara Rembrandt. And then I've got some, like I say, I've got the Derwent Inktense, because it's not a watercolor pencil, so it's a little bit more opaque. But I think some of you will be really surprised at the this one here. Where is it? I can't find it now. Oh, this one here. This one, it's called it's by Stabilo, and it's called Stabilo All. But it can write on glass, paper, plastic, and metal. So it's not in the traditional sense a colored pencil. It's got a strange texture to it. However, it's incredibly opaque, and I'll show you that in a second. Actually, while I'm here, just let me quickly sharpen that one, because it's not. All the rest of them are sharpened. Okay, and as I was saying earlier on, once we've done these tests on the black paper, I'm going to be doing the tests on actual coloured pencil, because as I was saying earlier on, in the past when I've used, say, like a white gel pen over some red layers, yeah, actually, Ella, let me just write on top what they are, because that's a good idea. I actually meant to do that, but I completely forgot. And then this one here is Kohinoor, sorry, excuse me, Kohinoor, Polycolor, and this final one here is the Lyra Polycolor. And all they are is just like a column of heavy applications, lots of layers and what have you. Because when people do highlights, so when we're talking about highlights here, we're talking about things like if you do say if you do say like some botanical work and you've got some drips on it, some water on it or anything like that, then you're going to be creating little highlights in those little drips. Or if you're going to be doing like metallic work, there's going to be a lot of highlights on that. And a lot of the time, if you're going to do work like that, fan art or something, it's a good idea if you use like tone tan or tone grey paper, because that's obviously going to help you create your highlights. Not all papers, if you want to use it on a white paper, not all papers are white. Like the Derwent Lightfast paper, which I absolutely love, it's not, I don't think it's a brilliant white paper. In fact, when I put it against like the Strathmore 400 or 300 series of this paper here, which is the Bristol Vellum 400 series, it's a little creamier than this one. So there's lots of different things that will hinder you whenever you're trying to do these highlights, and so hopefully this will give you an idea, an indication, especially because the brush and pencil stuff, which came out quite some while ago by Aliona Nicholson, this is incredibly archival. So this goes back to what I was talking about earlier on with regards to if you sit down to do a piece, whether it's a commission or just something that you really want to do, and the piece that you are doing is done with, say, like your Caran d'Ache Luminance or your Derwent Lightfast pencils, your highly Lightfast pencils, and you're using really expensive paper, but then you come in and you start doing the highlights in like a gel pen, which has no archival qualities whatsoever. Later down the line, those little highlights, depending on how many you've put in and depending on how prominent they are, they will fade and they will make the work that you've done look a little bit odd. Like they'll either yellow or they'll just fade or something like that. So when you're doing highlights, especially on a commission piece, it is important to consider the archivability of the highlights that you're doing. So let's get on with this. Sorry, Paulo, I completely misunderstood what you meant. You meant no FaberCastell Polychromos layer to do it on, but I'll do a quick layer now of just bear with me a second, guys. Sorry about that, guys. I know that's not very professional. I'll just quickly do this layer, and this is just a layer of the FaberCastell Polychromos. And again, the reason why I'm using red is because in the past when I've done this, when I've put any highlights on, any red layers that I've been putting down, the highlights can turn pink occasionally. So I'm just doing this very quickly so that I have the Polychromos down as well. After, do you want to know something? I don't know why this is the case, but every time I do a live stream, I get incredibly nervous. I get seriously nervous just before I'm about to go live. And I don't know why, because I really enjoy doing the live streams. It must be something like stage fright or something like that. I don't know. But it's about 10 minutes before these live streams. I feel like I'm going into battle. In fact, actually, I prefer the feeling of going into battle. It's not as frightening as this. Okay, so it's just like a heavy application because I want to be able to cut through the layers with the slice knife just to give me some highlights that way as well. So let me start off with the... Right, you go and lie down. I'm not playing ball with you, okay? I'm not playing ball. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is some... let me see if you can see that, if I've centered that properly. The first thing that we're going to do is use some white gouache. Now, I've just got some Winsor & Newton Designers gouache. I don't know where that lies on the spectrum of professional or anything like that, but it's zinc white. This is just a 14mm tube. And a lot of people, when they're applying this in highlights or anything like that, we'll just squeeze a little bit out. Just let me squeeze this top bit out. You can just use your brush, so you can just dip your brush into a little bit of water. A lot of people recommend that you have your brush a little bit wet before you use your gouache, rather than just taking it dry. Why is that not coming off? So just dip, I'm just going to dip it into this. And just put... Once I've got a few bits of white on here, I will zoom in and let you get a better look, because obviously, as with this being a live stream, I don't have all the photographs done or anything like that because I'm doing it live. Let me have a little look. See. Hi, Charms. Yeah, the layers are very different to the Polychromos, I think. Okay, so up next, I'm going to show you the Posca pens. Now, on the Posca website, it does say that they are archival.
So the Winsor & Newton permanent white gouache is even more opaque than the zinc white, because that was zinc white that I used there. So the permanent white gouache is even more. Okay. Okay, so this Posca pen here has a brush tip on the very end of it. You can see there, and it, whenever you need any more like of the paint, you press the end in here. You take this off, and then you just depress the end of it in, just pushes in, and then more paint just comes through the funnel. But I'm going to show you the 3 different Posca pens here. It's all the same. It's all the same solution inside, but it's just obviously different nibs, different tips, that type of thing, and it's going to give you a slightly different view. But so I've put a couple of layers there, not very many. Next up, this is the one that I use most of all for my highlights. Up until I had the brush and pencil stuff, and this new liquid white colored pencil, which I'm going to show you in a second. The good thing about this is you can get really tiny little highlights, little dots, and they're very opaque. You can get, for if you're doing like whiskers or hairs or things like that, these nibs are very good for that. Even if you're filling in an area, the nibs are kind of plastic, so they're not, this one anyway, it's not like the brush nib that I just showed you. So filling in large areas can be a little bit troublesome, and you, because of the plastic hard tip, you do get some marks in it. And then the next one is this Posca pen here, this one here. So the one that I've just shown you there is 0.7 millimeter, and this one here is PC1MR. It's a 0.7 mil as well, but it's just a different, it's a completely different nib on this one. So just let me show you. So you can see there the difference between the nib. So that's really fine. And then you have this other one. Let me see, can you see that? Is that okay? And now we'll just make some of these marks here with this one. To kind of like get more white or more paint coming out of this, you just press it down. Sometimes the problem with these is sometimes when you press it down, like a big bubble of white will come out. So it's a good idea Hi, the Colouring Zone. Hi, Nico. So Nico, you would need a smaller tip than the 0.7 mil. The only thing that I would suggest is some of the other options that I'm going to show you here, and it's unfortunately the only way you can apply it is with a brush, and you'll get slightly smaller there. I mean, like, that's the 0.7 mil. Let me see if I can zoom in here without causing too many problems. Okay, so this 0.7 millimeter tip, when you're using it, the detail that you can get with this is phenomenal. It's really, really good. I know 0.7 mil sounds big, especially if you're used to pencils, like the mechanical pencils, because that's quite a thick nib in a mechanical pencil. But on those Posca pens, it just doesn't work out like that. So next up is a gel pen. I'm sure everybody here has used a gel pen. The thing about the gel pen is these and the Sigma and some of the other pens that you can get that have the white in them, they're mostly rollerball, and so the little ball clogs up and you've got to end up cleaning it, and you end up looking like a zebra at the end of it because you have so much white pigment all over your fingers. And also as well, if you're trying to do like, you know, cover an area like this has done here, you can see here where the roller ball has, if you press too hard, it'll kind of like create a track through the white. And that's why I don't like these gel pens. These gel pens work okay on this paper, but you're going to see later on when I show you doing highlights on pigment, proper layers of colored pencil, they don't work so well. So the next one up is the brush and pencil. Okay, so now this one is it's a little bit more expensive to get, but sorry, just let me finish shaking it and then I'll continue talking. It's a little bit more expensive, but it has that archival quality. To it, so you're guaranteed and you don't need a lot of it. So whilst it's quite expensive, you only need a tiny little bit of this. So basically what it is, it's like this powder, and then you use this touch-up texture, colored pencil touch-up texture, to mix into the powder to create a paste. So I'm going to do that now. I'm just going to use this. I hope you can all see this okay. I know it's difficult because there's a lot of white going on here, so it's washing out a lot of the focus ability of the camera. So this little thing here, you got to shake it well. There's a little ball in it, but it has a little brush on it. Now you can use this little brush if you like, but it, as you can see here, it's like a nail polish brush, so it's quite thick. You can't get a lot of detail or anything like that with it. So just let me put the lid back on this, because knowing me, I am going to knock it for 6. Oh, I'm using the lid. Anyway. So what I do is get my own brush and mix it in. Maybe just add a little bit more to it. So you add the mixture to it, and you've just got to sit and mix it for a little bit. So there are pros and cons to this. So I guess the con would be the preparation. It does dry fast, so you gotta work quite fast with it. I don't think there's a right ratio, you know, like powder to solution or anything like that. I think you just gotta mix it to the consistency that you like, that you think you're ready to go with, and then you just pick it up and use it. And like I say, there are pros and cons to it, but one of the biggest pro for this stuff is the fact that it is archival. And so you can see there just how bright and opaque it is. I only put a very, very tiny little bit of that powder on there, and as you can see here, there's still loads there. That would do me an entire piece if I was just doing something botanical or something like metallic that needed highlighting, little bits of highlight on it. And then you just wash your brush in water and you're good to go. Now, with these ones up at the top, I've just kind of like done 1 or 2 layers. I haven't really done that much. I haven't put that much on. With the brush and pencil down here, that's kind of 1 layer off the brush and pencil. So I'm going to do another one beside it here, a little bit thicker, because as you can see, with the with the 1 layer, it is showing the paper through there. There we go. So I'm going to leave that just over to the side because I will come back to it whenever we're doing the the pigments. So let me have a look in the sections. Yes, I use. Okay, so alright, so Nico's saying there you can't hold the thin line with even with a small brush. Yeah, I understand what you mean. The brush and pencil stuff can be a little bit thick, but you're in control really with how much, you know, solution to put in. The next one is this Winsor & Newton ink. Now there's lots of different variations of this. There's lots of different brands that have got these inks that you can purchase. I've not used them all. Nadeem, you use the Mitsubishi or the Pentel white ink or gouache. The Caran d'Ache Luminance White has a great, yeah. The Caran d'Ache Luminance is really good, but I think you'll see here, because a lot of people think between the Caran d'Ache Luminance and the Derwent Chinese White. A lot of people think the Derwent Chinese White is a slightly better option. Okay, so I've just shook that bottle and opened it. Now I've got to tell you, I've not used this in absolutely donkeys. So I can't even remember what this is like. My brush is really quite dry. Like I said earlier on, you can use a dip pen for this. And I guess if you wanted to, you could try and use a dip pen for the brush and pencil, but it would just get clogged up because it's a powder-based one. But with these inks, if you've got a dip pen, like like one of those calligraphy pens, that might, Nico, give you a little bit more stability whenever you are, you know, rather than using a brush to try and get a thin line, a dip pen might be more preferable to you. And then obviously, if you're going to use a dip pen, then you're in control of the different nib sizes and what have you that you can create with those. Oh, Paolo, where you going, mate? Need to go and prep dinner. All right, no problem. Thanks very much, mate, for stopping by. Really appreciate that. Okay, so this is the Winsor & Newton white ink. And as you can see here, again, I'm just going to put like one layer there, and then I'm going to do at the side of it here, I'm going to do 2 layers. I'll wait till the first layer dries, and then I'll put another layer. You can definitely see that the paper is coming through there, and even on the brush and pencil stuff as well, the paper's coming, the darkness of the paper's coming through. With the Posca pens and the white gouache, and even the gel pen, the darkness of the paper isn't coming through as much. But as I said at the beginning, that's all very well and good on black paper. It might be different once we try it on the pencil layers that we've done. So that's the Winsor & Newton white. Now here's the one that a lot of people have gone out and bought, and it's the liquid white colored pencil. Again, this is archival, so like the brush and pencil, and I think I'll have links in the description where you can get all these different highlight objects, but the liquid white colored pencil is much cheaper than the brush and pencil stuff that I was showing you, and as I've just said, this is archival also. So with this, when you open this, this is like a little eyedropper, so you suck up what you need and then just empty it out onto a plate or something like that, and use it that way. I'm just going to lift off some white here from the drop, and just apply it here. So again, I'm just going to do one layer, and then beside it here I'm going to add 2 layers. It is definitely thicker. It is definitely much more opaque. Now basically what this is, from what I understand, this is basically just exactly what it says on the tin, liquid colored pencil. So this is like white colored pencil. The stuff that goes into that you would use on colored pencil, just liquefied. And there is so much in this bottle. I would imagine that this would last you such a long time. Yeah, Charms, a little dip pen would be excellent for things like the liquid white colored pencil, the Winsor & Newton ink, or the brush and pencil. Like I say, with the brush and pencil, it might clog up a little bit, but you'll definitely still get there. Okay, so the next one up. Now, I can't take credit for this. There's an absolutely amazing artist, color pencil artist. I'm sure all of you know this lady. She is absolutely amazing. Her name is Cynthia Knox, and yeah, it's archival. Susan, the liquid white is archival, and the brush and pencil is archival. The Winsor & Newton, the Winsor & Newton ink, I don't think that's archival. Just let me double check. No, I don't think these inks are archival, but I'll double check for you in a second. Hi there, Lalit. I hope I'm saying that properly. Okay, so I seen Cynthia Knox use this pencil, and with this pencil, it's from Stabilo, and it's called the All. Now, it's also water soluble, so you can use this pencil on paper, on glass, on plastic, and metal. So you can use it on a lot of different surfaces just as a pencil, a little bit like a Chinograph, I guess, but it's also like I say, water soluble. There's a little, it says here, acrylable. Sorry, I can't talk properly. So it can be like used as a watercolor, and I'm going to show you both versions of it here on the black paper. Okay, so just in its dry form, let me see, can you see that? Okay, yeah. Okay, so just in its dry form, I'm just going to put a heavy-ish application down here. You can see there it is a little bit crumbly. It has a really sticky consistency to it, but I've used this a lot in just colored pencil, in just colored pencil art pieces, and it works best just over like layers of colored pencil. I don't think it shows up very well on paper, but we'll see that in the other tests that we're going to do in a second. So we're going to test some of these white highlights on layers of colored pencil as well. Okay, so we'll get to those in a second. As I say, this is water soluble, so I'm going to use my little Caran d'Ache palette. If you are a watercolor, you're the type of artist that loves watercolor pencils, this little palette is absolutely ingenious, and I think it just completely transforms all of the watercolor pencils that you have. It gives you the ability to mix them and mix them properly, and use it as basically your watercolor pencils just become like pans. Okay, so that is this is still the same pencil. This is the Stabilo All, and I'm just gonna mix it up there a little bit. I think I've put far too much water on there. Okay, so on black paper here, you can see in its water soluble form, it's pretty much useless on black paper. But the real test is going to be on the layers of color pencil that I've put down. The next one up is the Derwent Inktense White. Now, this is obviously a different pencil altogether because it's ink. It's not watercolor. So actually, so this is sorry, I'm just going back over the Stabilo All, and I'm going to activate that while it's on the paper. So I just give you 3 different versions of what it looks like. So as you can see there, this is the Derwent Inktense pencil. So this is it in its dry form. Now, there is a big difference between the Derwent Inktense and just any watercolor pencil, because a watercolor pencil, when it's activated by water, you can kind of like come back later on and reactivate it a little bit and lift up some of the pigment. with these Derwent Inktense pencils, you can't do that because they're ink. So as soon as they are activated, that's it. So I'm going to use this palette again. Just put a little bit on the side there. I'm just going to put a little bit of water on here. If any of you can think of any other... I know some people use Tipp-Ex or whiteout, some people call it, like correction fluid that you would use at school. But obviously then you come down to the issue of the archiving, the archivability of it. So that's the Derwent Inktense. And then this is it activated actually on the paper. So again, 3 different versions. Now the FaberCastell is a really nice watercolor pencil, but like the Polychromos, it's not. I don't find it as opaque as other watercolor pencils. So I'm going to show you 3 different versions here. I'm going to try and race through this because I want to get on to the layers of the color pencil and show you the different techniques that I use to create highlights. And there's lots of different versions. There's lots of different reasons why you would need highlights. Of course, you can use just the white of the paper, but that can cause time. There's a fantastic artist called Heather Rooney. She's just put a piece up on her Instagram and she shows you how she creates like a wheatgrass field, and it's amazing. She just puts down really, really heavy layers of like the color of the soil, so to speak. Really heavy layers of it, lots of different colors blended in, and then what she does is she comes back in with a knife, like an X-Acto knife or one of these slice knives, and she basically draws with the knife, pulling out the shapes that she needs, and then goes back in with a white pencil or a lighter color pencil to accentuate the grass. So you can see there the FaberCastell Albrecht Dürer. It's not quite as opaque as the Derwent Inktense, but that's to be expected because they are 2 different mediums. Next one up is the Caran d'Ache Supercolor Soft. Just let me move this up a little bit so you can see this. So you see, in my opinion, the Caran d'Ache Supercolor Soft is much more opaque than the FaberCastell Albrecht Dürer. So with these ones here, these versions here are all just dry. These ones here have been activated on the paper, and these final ones here have been activated on the palette, using the palette. So you can see there that Caran d'Ache Supercolor Soft is actually really quite opaque. I wasn't actually expecting that. And so I have the Caran d'Ache Museum Aquarelle, and I guess they're probably even more opaque than this. And there you go. So that's basically all the water soluble pencils out of the way. The next ones up that we're going to do now is just a selection of coloured pencils. Now, all of them are are quite high quality coloured pencils, except for the last one here, which is just a Color White. So I'm just going to do a heavy application of all of them all the way down, and then we'll be able to kind of like compare them at the end. So this is the Holbein. There's a lot of controversy or talk at the minute about the Holbein and whether they are ASTM light fast rated or not. This is the Caran d'Ache Luminance. You can see I'm using a fair amount of pressure on all of these here because they're all crumbling. The next one up is the Derwent Chinese White. Now this is the one where a lot of people say that it's more opaque than the Caran d'Ache Luminance. It's definitely a lot more crumblier. Next one up is Prismacolor. Now a lot of people use this, but you know what? With all the faults that people say about Prismacolor, it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, the Prismacolor are just a beautiful pencil. So many people really enjoy using them. Okay, next up is the FaberCastell Polychromos. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is the FaberCastell Polychromos. The Polychromos range in general tends to be a little more translucent than lots of the others, but that plays well to colour pencil artists that enjoy doing layering, applying lots of layers and what have you. So that's the Polychromos. Next one up is the Caran d'Ache Pablo. I've done a comparison video of the Pablo and the FaberCastell Polychromos. I think the FaberCastell Polychromos is definitely the workhorse pencil for colour pencil artists. I think so many colour pencil artists trust in the FaberCastell Polychromos. It's a pencil that they really just love using, and like I say, they trust them. So this one here now is the Koh-i-Noor. That's really quite translucent. You can see a lot of the black coming through there. Next one up is the Derwent Light Fast White. Lie down, son. Yeah, hang on, I'll move it. Then the Lara Rembrandt White. Again, quite translucent as well. This one and the Koh-i-Noor are very, very similar with regards to opaqueness or translucency to the FaberCastell Polychromos. And then finally, I've just thrown in here a really cheap white pencil. It's just from the Color range. So this is a really inexpensive white pencil. Okay, so you can see there, just on the black paper, the range of different tools the colored pencil artists have at their disposal for creating highlights. Some of them are archival, some of them not so much, and so that's what you've got to. The Museum Aquarelle, the Caran d'Ache Museum Aquarelle white is very, very opaque. But again, it's water soluble, so this is something that I've been asking chemists and what have you who work at these factories of the some colored pencil companies, that okay, one of the questions I used to ask artists when I first started getting into doing reviews was, because I would see so many colour pencil artists using odourless mineral spirits, and I would think to myself, if you're going to use your pencils and then you're going to turn it into that painterly effect with the odourless mineral spirits, why not just use a water soluble pencil in the first place? Because it's essentially what you're doing. You're breaking down the pigment into a paint, essentially, and you're creating your artwork that way. And it's exactly the same way that a watercolor pencil artist does, only instead of using odorless mineral spirits, we're using water. And I've not really been given an answer as to why the two are so different, why you would do one over the other and vice versa. And I'm not sure what the archivability is of a water-soluble pencil just left in its dry form. But once I get that, I'll try. If I get a reply from the chemists that I've asked this to, I will certainly pass it on. Yeah, the Burl Prismacolor were really nice pencils. I've only used one of those. Somebody sent me one, and I've only used one. I would love to get a set of the old Prismacolor just to try them out. Susan says, I use Prismacolor. They're easy to get here in Ontario, Canada. Yeah, Prismacolor are just a great pencil. Okay, so that's what these highlighting tools look like on black paper, and that's all very well and good because that's very easy to see how bright, how opaque, or how translucent they are on black paper. But as colored pencil artists, we're not always using black paper. In fact, most of the time when we're trying to create highlights, we're trying to create the highlights on layers of colored pencil. And so I've got let me just move this over a little bit. Let me zoom out a bit. Oh, wrong way. Hey, Dawn. Oh, you're on your lunch break? Oh, dear. I'm not sure why these colours are washed out. I'm not sure if it's a light.
Let me see if I can try this a little bit. Hi Astrid. Oh, thanks very much. Well, hopefully it'll be helpful. Because like I was saying, it's all very well and good doing these tests on black paper, but when it comes down to it, we colored pencil artists are trying to create these highlights on many layers of colored pencil, and there's lots of different types of colored pencils, like wax type pencils, oil type pencils, dry pencils, that type of thing, which is the reason why I've put down the layers that I've done here is Count Ash Luminance, blue and red. And the reason why, if you're just new to the chat, the reason why I've done red is because in the past, when I've used things like gel pens and what have you, when I've put a highlight down on red pigment, the highlights tend to turn a little bit pink. They seem to lift up some of the pigment, and so I think red is a good testing color for these highlights. I'm just sharpening some of these pencils before we get started, because I don't want this to run on too late for you. My problem is I just talk and don't stop, and I should just get on with the tests. Oh, and every time I do these live streams, people text me or email me and say, Harry, you need to remind people about the what's it called? I don't even know what it's called. There's a little thing down at the bottom. It's like a $sign, and it'll allow people to make donations during the live streams if they want to. There is absolutely no need to do it. It's just a lot of people that do live streams, what they do is they say, if you want to ask a question, use the dollar thing, make a donation and ask the question that way, and I will answer your questions. Well, I don't do things like that. If somebody asks me a question, I'll answer it for free. I'm not an expert. I don't need people to pay me for my advice. That's not the way I'm doing it. But the little $sign on my channel, in any case, is just if you want to support the channel and you want to make a little donation or something like that, it's there available for you to do so. But it's absolutely not necessary. Not at all. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to try and do this in the same order that I did it on the black paper, okay? So the first thing that I'm going to do is use the white gouache, and so I've got this white gouache, and a lot of people, when they're using it, they'll just damp their brush down a little bit and just lift out a little bit of gouache from the tube. You can obviously just squeeze a little bit out onto a palette if you want to. In fact, I have a little bit here that I'm going to use. I'm just putting it out onto the palette there. So I've got, because I'm going to try it on all of these. So my brush is just a little bit damp. I'm not putting too much water in it or anything like that, but at the same time, I'm not just lifting it dry, if you know what I mean, you know, straight with a dry brush or anything like that. Okay, so I've got a little bit of this white gouache, this Winsor Newton white gouache, and now I know if you were doing highlights, you would be creating tiny little little dots or really thin lines or something like that. I'm doing this a little bit bigger, purely and simply because I'm displaying it to you, so I need it to be a little bit bigger for you to see it. But again, if you were wanting to do like really super thin lines with gouache, you could use like a dip pen or a feather pen to get that really thin nib. Or if you've got, I'm just using like a little cheap watercolor brush here. If you had like some of those really tiny little watercolor brushes for detail, you could use one of those. But that's the white gouache. The next one is the Posca pens. Now the Posca pens, I'm going to do two. So let me put the lid on my gouache, otherwise it'll dry up. Okay, so the first pen that I'm going to do is the Posca brush pen, which I did on the black paper. Again, in order to get a little bit of paint, what you do is, I'm not sure if you have seen these Posca pens with the brush nibs, but you just press the end bit in, and you can see it. I think you can anyway. You should be able to see as I'm pressing this in, the paint coming out there. Okay, so I've just pressed it too much, so I've got a little bit of excess there, which I don't want to waste. So I will label, I'll put a label down the side here of what these are in a second. But you can see there that the Posca pens are really quite opaque and work quite well on these on these different layers of colored pencil. The other Posca pen that I really enjoy using is the this one here. It's a 0.7 millimeter, but as you can see, the nib of it is really just like a pen nib. So it allows you to get lots of really tiny detail. So if I was doing hair or something like that, or whiskers or whatever, you can fill in slightly larger areas. But as I said earlier on, because of the nib, it's like a plastic nib. It can create like track marks. So as you can see there, it's worked really well on the red and on the blue as well. Works really well over the Koh-i-Noor yellow here. You see, the Koh-i-Noor seems to be a drier, slightly drier consistency to the core, to its core. And then finally on the FaberCastell Polychromos. When I use these pens, mostly I'm using them over marker as well, like alcohol markers. Okay, so next up is the Aliona Nicholson brush and pencil. That stuff that I had used has already dried. Let me get rid of the
Okay, so again, with the Allione and Nicholson brush and pencil stuff, all you need is a tiny little bit of the powder. Just lift it up. And then with the solution, and you've got to use the solution. You can't, apparently, I'm nearly sure you can't use water, because if you use water, it does something with the archive and the archivability of it. All you got to do is come in, add a little drip of this. Like I said earlier on, you do get a little brush with it, but it's like a nail polish brush. Oh, a bit too much there. Stupid me. Okay, so I need to mix all that in. I think I'm gonna have to put a little bit more powder in. This is the only issue I have with the brush and pencil stuff. You know, you spend time mixing it, getting it to the right consistency. I guess if you use it all the time, you end up developing a method where you know exactly how much you're lifting up, you know exactly how much fluid you're putting into it, and you know it just becomes like second nature. I don't use it that often, so that's why I'm not doing very well here with mixing it. But I've got it to the right consistency now, so at the end of the day, all we're looking for here is whether it's nice and opaque over the layers of the pencil. And you can see there that it is. That's... Again, if you were doing highlights yourself, you know, you would obviously things would be a little bit smaller, but I'm just applying these slightly bigger for demonstration purposes. But you can see there that the brush and pencil whitener is, and again, it's archival, so there's a lot of good things that go with that. Let me just okay, so the top one is gouache. The next two is the Posca pen. And then the next one down is brush and pencil. This one is going to be okay, so up next is the white gel pen. Then after that, the ink, the Winsor & Newton ink, and then after that the liquid white. Sorry, I'm writing at a funny angle here, so it looks all. So next up is the
is the white gel pen. Now, with the white gel pen, the problems that I always have is it just doesn't work on and you can see here I'm having problems trying to just get like a white line, whereas on the black paper, when I did it on that, it worked really well. But you can see here on the Caran d'Ache Luminance, it's just not playing ball. On this one here, it might be a little bit different. Yeah, on the Koh-i-Noor, it's a little bit different. On the Lara, no, and then on the FaberCastell, on the Polychromos, yeah, it's working a little bit better on that. So the white gel pens, I always have problems with these. Doesn't matter what pencil I'm using, I just have problems with it. Next one up is the Winsor & Newton ink. Put your nose down. Sit down. Good boy. Sorry, Coda's wanting to have a go. Okay, so like I say, up next is the Winsor & Newton ink. Again, with this, you could use a dip pen. It's going to give you a lot more control over it, a lot more. You'd be able to get a lot more detail with it. Hi, Mia. Yeah, I've used the Sakura white gel white pen or ballpoint pens, roller balls I think they are, and they work okay. But sometimes the roller ball gets clogged up, and the lines that you try to get, especially when you're doing it over color pencil, it's fine doing it on black paper or brown paper or something like that. But no, I've not Emma Colors. I've not tried the Dr. P.H. Martin's white. I've heard a lot of good things about all that entire line, like the different colors that they have in there. So I've not tried them yet. Yeah, Judy, that's a really good point. With the brush and pencil, when I've been using it, I've always ended up mixing more than I needed to use. But yeah, like you say, I think with over time, you would get used to, you would develop kind of like a routine. You would know how much you're going to use for certain things. This is the Winsor & Newton ink, and again, this came up. I'm just doing one kind of like layer of them here, but this came up really well on the black paper. But on the layers of colored pencil, it might be a different thing, especially after it dries in. And I think that's, at the end of the day, that's the test here. It's when it dries in, what it looks like. So that's the Winsor & Newton. Now, next up, the whole reason why I did this tonight, which is this new liquid white colored pencil. Now, this has been out for a while. It's been around for a while. It comes in this gorgeous little bottle. It actually looks like something that should be on a makeup counter or something like that. And it looks like something that should be in one of those really exclusive makeup centers and what have you. It says here at the top, Pearl Burnish San Francisco, liquid white colored pencil, intensify white areas, and it is archival. So as with the Aliona Nicholson brush and pencil, this is archival as well. Now, if you're just into the stream, this has like a little eyedropper thing with it. So you suck up whatever you need, and then you would just drop it onto a plate or something like that, or a palette. So I suppose I might as well do that on this palette, on this Caran d'Ache palette. But there is a lot of stuff in here. You know, I could even take it off. So I've got a bit on there for now. Now my brush is just a little bit damp. There's not hardly any water on it or anything like that. See, I end up pushing it out, and I end up getting like, you know, where like railway tracks. I definitely think that if I had a dip pen or something like that, which I used to have, but I've lost it. Let me do that liquid white again on here. The liquid white is really opaque, but I think I'm applying it wrong here with this brush, because when I'm putting it down, the brush is sending, because it's so thick, the brush is kind of like sending the fluid out around the brush, and it's creating like a dip in the middle, so it's creating like railway lines. But the liquid white around the side is really nice and thick and opaque. Now the next one is this Stabilo All, and it's the one that you can use this pencil on paper and glass, plastic and metal. It is water soluble, so you can use it in that way as well. But I'm only going to do this test with a few of these pencils because, or actually, you know what? I'll just do it with them all. So the Stabilo All, I seen Cynthia Knox use this, and Cynthia Knox is an absolutely outstanding artist, and she uses this for a lot of her highlights. So see, oh sorry, on that Caran d'Ache. Now I have to say, when Cynthia Knox uses this, she uses it on Prismacolor. All her work is done with Prismacolor pencils, which is much more waxy, but it hasn't worked very well at all on the luminance. Same with the blue there, it just doesn't work. In fact, actually, you can see there that it's actually taken off. It's actually taken off pigment color from the layers. I'm just going to sharpen it for the next ones. So next up is the Koh-i-Noor. Now the Koh-i-Noor is a slightly drier
Definitely works better there. Not very good on that type of test. Where's my pen? So I don't forget. What have I done with that pen? Oh, it doesn't matter. I'll use red. Okay, so this one here is the next up, I'm going to use the Derwent Chinese White. Now again, so these are really thick, heavy layers of colored pencil, and this is where we're going to try. Why you know, we all strive to get these highlights, but just using the pencil on top doesn't really give us too much in the way of a highlight, no matter what pencil I'm using here. And the Derwent Chinese White from the drawing range is really thick and opaque. And you can see here, it's not really doing much on any of the layers, with the exception of maybe the Lyra Polycolor. I was able to get a nice highlight there. I'm not going to try all the rest of these pencils because I think they're all going to be exactly the same. They're not going to work just on top of these layers. So what a lot of color pencil artists do is, if you're trying to create like some hair or something like that, they use one of these knives and they will scratch away some of the pigment in this, whatever the shape is that they need, and then come back in with the white color pencil, because the knife has created that valley for the white color pencil to go into, and it creates that really deep. Oh, hi Paulo, sorry. Yeah, that's right. Waxier pencils are kind of like better over the oilier layers. But anyway, so you would use this knife to create like a hair or something like that, and then come back in with the white pencil. So I'm going to show you that now. This is the reason why I did lots of layers and lots of heavy layers, so that the knife can cut through them. So if I wanted to create a hair, I'm not too sure if you can see this very well. I'm going to pull this over a little bit more, and I'm going to zoom in so that you can see this. Okay, so I've just done a line through the pigment here, okay? And ordinarily then what you would do is come in with your pencil, like your luminance, and run your pencil down through the line, and because you've created that valley through the red pigment, it takes the white pigment really easily. You can also do just scrape away the pigment and then again come back in Where's that acrylic pencil? Come back in with your white pencil and create your highlight that way. Again, on the Caran d'Ache luminance, that layer's not very solid. We'll try it on this one here. So on the Kohinoor Polycolor, this will probably work a lot better. Come back in with your white pencil. And then on the Lyra one as well, we'll try it here. Using these slice knives, I did a review of these slice knives. So they come in different sizes and what have you, but they've got like a ceramic edge to them. And so when you're trying to create these highlights, like if you're doing hair or if you're doing stubble or anything like that, you can just put quite a bit of pressure on it, and all it's going to do is cut through the pigment layers. It's not going to slice the paper. A lot of colour pencil artists will just use an X-Acto knife as well, but you've obviously got to be a little bit more careful with these, because if you put too much pressure, you're just going to slice your paper up, which is the reason why I prefer to use these slice knives. So on the Lyra Polycolor there, I've just created that line and then come back in with the Derwent white. And then finally, the same type of thing with the FaberCastell Polychromos. It all depends what you're doing. And you can see there that the Polychromos is definitely harder to create a bigger area with. But now all these different methods, let me just zoom out again, sorry. Now all these different methods that are at our disposal as a colour pencil artist. We have the inks, which, as some people have said here, I think it was Emma who had said about the Dr. P.H. Martins. They have like bleed proof white and other colours as well that you can get, and they're kind of like in inks also. These different variations that I've used up at the top are work really well, especially the Posca pens and the brush and pencil, and then the liquid white. They all work really well, and like I said, the really good thing about the liquid white and the brush and pencil is that they are fully archival. So if you're doing a piece and you're using all your luminance and all your Derwent Lightfast pencils and you've got it on really expensive paper, you want to use something like the brush and pencil or the liquid white. I guess the benefit of the liquid white over the brush and pencil is the fact that the liquid white is already made up. All you've got to do is just use it straight out of the bottle, and it is significantly cheaper, but it offers the same opacity and it offers the same it offers the same kind of like opacity. And like I say, it's much less. It's not as expensive as the brush and pencil stuff. The Posca pens are a really good alternative.
but I'm not 100% sure on the archivability of the solution inside the Posca pens. But as you can see with the Posca pens, you can get a lot of really good detail with them. Filling in big areas, you can do it, but you got to be careful that you don't cause like track lines or anything like that. And that's really about it, guys. At the end of the day, it's all very well and good doing like showing you the most opaque colored pencil and putting it on black paper, because when you're using these colored pencils just on black paper and it's going straight onto black paper or tone tan or tone grey, that's okay. More often than not, colored pencil artists need to create these highlights within other colors of layers of pencils that we use. And so that's why I wanted to do this test tonight. I wanted to show you what it looks like on the layers of the colored pencils as well as on black paper. Because like I say, doing it on black paper is really easy and it shows you really clearly which pencil is more opaque. But when it comes down to using these pencils on lots of layers, they're not very good at all. They don't work. So you need to come up with something different. The gel pens are okay. This like the Sakura Sigma pens and stuff like that, they're all okay, but they do clog up a little bit. They have a tendency to clog up. At least that's been my experience with them. And the reason why that is because most of them, not all of them, but most of them have like this roller ball at the front. And so as the liquid is coming out, it clogs a little bit. And you can wipe it off on your finger and then start, get back at it. But because you've got a waxy or an oily surface, the pens don't seem to give you as good a surface, as good a coverage as what like the liquid pencil or the Posca pens do, or the brushing pencil. So hi Anne. So what do you guys think? I mean, from what you can see on your screen at the minute, and taking into consideration the archivability of these products as well, what do you think is the product that you would use? And hi Paolo, sorry I missed your question there about the knives. Yeah, so I can't find my other one. I had two of them. I've done a review of them. The other one I have has a retractable blade. It's like you can pull the blade in, but these blades are ceramic, so they don't cut you. In fact, actually, the man who invented these has an autistic son, and that was the reason why he invented these knives. You can get scissors and all the lots and lots of different things, but they cut. They don't cut your skin, but they will cut paper. They'll cut boxes and things like that. They're not made for colored pencil, like things like that. But a lot of color pencil artists use them because of the ceramic blade and the fact that it doesn't rip the paper like an X-Acto knife would do. So, and they're relatively inexpensive as well. But if you check out my website, Paolo, you'll see the review that I have up of them, and also on my YouTube channel, it's over there as well. So Paolo thinks the Posca pens look the most opaque.
Yeah, a lot of people like the Posca pens. The Posca pens give you a lot of variation, a lot of because of the different nibs and all the rest of it. A company sent Chalkola have come out with a similar type pen to the Posca pens. They've asked me to review these, which I am going to do, but I might as well just have a look at the white and see if it's at the same level of the Posca pens, because these come in different nib variations as well. You can see the nib there. Again, it's kind of plastic. It's like the Posca nib. This one is 1mm, and this is what they class as extra fine. So let me just have a look here. I'll just, because you've got to pump them a little bit to get the paint through. And these pens from Chalkola are really inexpensive. So I've got the paint coming through now. I'll try it on the back here. Hi, darling, you're early. I'm doing a live stream.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I came back early. Got one up there tonight.
Alright, okay, good. I'm glad.
I know.
I'm glad. I'm just going to finish up, darling, then I'll get your dinner sorted out.
It's fine, I've had dinner. I went to sleep.
Alright. Okay, so you can see here, this is the Chalkola one. I know it's a little bit off topic, but I'm gonna try it down at the very bottom here. See, it's... I think the problem with this one over the Posca pen is these ones here seem to be more water based, and you can see it. It's not as opaque as the Posca pens. It doesn't give you the same opacity. I don't know, guys. You be the judge. I think the Posca pen is definitely a little bit better. What can you not see, Eric? Has it stopped or something? Has the screen stopped? Let me just double check. It must be buffering then. Yeah, I think it might have frozen. Hang on, give me a second here to try and change this. I think I'm going to have to call it a night, guys, because it's telling me here that the connection is excellent, everything's still okay, and I've got no idea why it is yeah, I think it's obviously froze, guys. Can you I take it you can still hear me okay? No, I'm gonna have to go out and get it for you.
Oh,